The heated debates and protests over mask mandates, critical race theory, transgender policies and other issues that have divided school boards and communities across the country have also reached the Durham District School Board. In recent months, the board has faced angry backlash from some parents and groups who oppose the board's efforts to promote diversity, equity, and inclusion in its schools. Some of these opponents have accused the board of teaching critical race theory, a term that has been widely misused and misunderstood by conservative politicians and media outlets. Critical race theory is an academic framework that examines how racism is embedded in laws, policies, and institutions, not just in individual attitudes or behaviors. However, some critics have claimed that critical race theory is a divisive ideology that indoctrinates students to hate themselves, each other, and their country. Another source of controversy has been the board's policy on supporting transgender and gender-diverse students, which was adopted in the policy aims to create a safe and respectful learning environment for all students, regardless of their gender identity or expression. It includes guidelines on using students' preferred names and pronouns, providing access to gender-neutral washrooms and changing facilities, and addressing bullying and harassment based on gender. However, some parents and groups have argued that the policy violates their religious beliefs, infringes on their parental rights, and exposes their children to inappropriate or harmful information. A third issue that has sparked heated debates and protests is the board's response to the COVID-19 pandemic, especially regarding mask mandates for students and staff. The board has followed the provincial guidelines on requiring masks for all students in grades 1 to 12, with some exceptions for medical reasons or special needs. The board has also encouraged masking for kindergarten students, but not mandated it. However, some parents and groups have opposed the mask requirements, claiming that they are ineffective, harmful, or unnecessary. Some have even compared wearing masks to human trafficking or child abuse. These issues have led to tense and sometimes violent confrontations at school board meetings, where parents and community members have voiced their opinions, concerns, and demands. Some of these meetings have been disrupted by protesters who have shouted, chanted, or refused to follow the rules of order. Some of these protesters have been affiliated with extremist groups such as the Proud Boys, a far-right organization that has been designated as a terrorist entity by the Canadian government. The board has tried to maintain civility and order at these meetings, but has also faced threats and harassment from some of its critics. The Durham District School Board is not alone in facing these challenges. Across the country, school boards and educators have been under pressure from various groups and individuals who disagree with their policies or practices on issues related to race, gender, health, and safety. These disputes have raised questions about the role of public education in a diverse and democratic society, and the rights and responsibilities of parents, students, teachers, and administrators. The impact of school closures, remote learning, and health risks on students' academic performance, mental health, and social development. The COVID-19 pandemic has disrupted the education system in unprecedented ways, forcing millions of students to switch from in-person to remote learning. While this transition was necessary to prevent the spread of the virus, it also had significant negative consequences for students' academic performance, mental health, and social development. One of the main challenges of remote learning is the lack of motivation and engagement among students. Research shows that the school environment is critical for fostering academic motivation and social development, and that many students rely on relationships with teachers and peers for inspiration and support. However, remote learning reduces the opportunities for meaningful interactions and feedback, and makes it harder for teachers to monitor students' progress and well-being. As a result, many students may skip assignments, play online games during class time, or lose interest in their future goals. Another challenge of remote learning is the increased stress and isolation that students may experience. The pandemic has exposed students to various sources of stress, such as health risks, family conflicts, economic hardships, and uncertainty about the future. Moreover, school closures have deprived students of access to mental health services that they may have received exclusively from school settings. According to a study by Forbes, lockdowns and school closures have had an adverse impact on both children's mental and physical health, and there are indications that school closures will have long-term consequences for children adversely affected by the resulting social isolation. The impact of remote learning on students' academic performance, mental health, and social development may vary depending on several factors, such as age, grade level, socioeconomic status, family support, and quality of instruction. However, some general trends have emerged from recent studies. For example, a study by Brookings found that average math and reading test scores in grades 3 to 8 were significantly lower in fall 2021 compared to fall 2019, before the pandemic. Moreover, test score gaps between students in low-poverty and high-poverty elementary schools grew by approximately 20% in math and 15% in reading during the pandemic. These findings suggest that remote learning has widened the existing achievement gaps among students from different backgrounds. In conclusion, remote learning has had devastating impacts on many students' academic performance, mental health, and social development. While some students may have adapted well to the new mode of learning, others may have struggled with motivation, engagement, stress, isolation, and learning loss. Therefore, it is essential to provide adequate support and resources for students, educators, and parents to help them cope with the challenges of remote learning and recover from the effects of the pandemic.